What's up, everybody? This is episode number 36 of Rolling with Reason. Um, as you can tell, the setup's changed. That's new, that's different. I guess my book bag and stuff are over there. My little computer chair, green screen's up over there. Maybe we'll do something funny and goofy with that while we shoot this episode. You can see my rare and uh, not seen often acoustic over there. But yeah, hey, welcome. This is Rolling with Reason. Today has been a really good week. I'm really happy with the way that things are turning out. I hope you guys are having an exceptional week as well. We actually kind of already recorded this once, and I realized that the autofocus wasn't on, and so we're trying again. We're going to try this again. Maybe this time my words won't get as mixed up, or maybe I won't trip up as much because I kind of just said all this already once. But hey, here we are. It's another week. Hair is looking definitely crazy this week, I'm sure. I got to train today, jiu-jitsu. For those of you that know and you've been here, you know that I've been out for a couple of weeks. Had some stuff going on with my lower back. I was doing some squats and it wasn't favorable, and I didn't get to compete at the Arnold Classic for Jiu-Jitsu, and that's super unfortunate. But that's all right. It's part of the journey, right? We talk about that sort of stuff on here pretty frequently, and so if that's kind of your thing, it's your first time here, that's what we talk about. We're talking about this journey. We're talking about the grind. It's really just kind of like a journal, I guess, for me on video for people that don't know me, because I'm just so ocupado, busy, I guess. I'm so busy. That was a little bit of the Spanish kicking in there. Yeah, I got to train today. It was really nice, hitting some omoplatas and just some crazy moves, which is nice. And I got to do that for a couple weeks, and so I think it helps clear my head for me. It's just something that I enjoy so much. And so if I don't get to do it for a while, and then I get to do it, it's like, hey, what's up, old friend? It's really nice. And so yeah, we got to do that today. I'm excited. That means I'm going to get to train more next week. Clark Gracie is coming in this coming weekend, so it'd be the weekend that we do episode 37, and so maybe we'll figure something out, and maybe we'll kind of put something together for everybody to listen to, or kind of, maybe do a little interview with him. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll have to ask him. Of course, I'd have to ask him, right? You could just be like, oh, here's the camera. Like, but that'd be kind of cool. I think it's going to be on a Saturday, so we'll have to try and figure out how we're going to set that up, because normally we record on Sundays and also post on Sundays. So I shoot, edit, and post same day. And so yeah, that'd be something we have to figure out, because if he's coming in on a Saturday. Anyways, that's another topic for another time. But yeah, he's coming in, and that's really cool. I got to train today, and so it felt really good. Hitting some omoplatas, he'd be proud. That's kind of his move. This is his specialty. Yeah. The setup back here, it's changed. It's changed. I guess you guys are kind of seeing like half of what these cool animations could be, and like half of what isn't. I say that because of the green screen. But that green screen, man, the thing's awesome. It's just not big enough. We could use a bigger one and then do some really cool stuff and have the desk in the shot. But I'm really happy that the desk was in the shot. I'm happy you guys can see all of my books. We'll talk about that in a second. And like I said earlier, the guitar's chilling back there. And this is kind of like my workspace. This is like the thing that's real. I've kind of shown it a couple times, but I was kind of like hesitant about like how do I go about doing that thing. Do I just do like the headshot thing, and how do I navigate this thing that I don't know, like what I'm doing or what people like, and all that. And I guess that kind of ties into a question or a comment that we had on one of our recent videos. Someone was asking about how the video making process is, and they were excited for the Arnold's video. And I gotta say, I'm excited that you are excited for the Arnold's video. I'm excited for the Arnold's video. I think it's gonna be a little bit of a intriguing, or maybe a lot. I don't know. We'll see. That's something, for the people that watch it and tune in. And I hesitate to kind of lay out a format about how I think these videos go, or how they're kind of how I create them. The creative process is one that's kind of hard to maybe explain unless you're, somebody who's kind of going through that same process in it of yourself, because then you can kind of understand some of these like concepts that it's going to feel like I'm pulling out of thin air. But if you're if you're someone like me where you're constantly working in, like, you're in these environments where you're using these tools, and you're navigating new ways to do something, or like show something, those things are it almost feels that they just kind of come from thin air. They come from thin air, and it's hard to explain how they manifest within, at least within my head. It's just kind of one of those things where, as you're creating it, there's like a feeling or maybe an aesthetic that, like, is the video. Like, you can feel it in the video. So when you shoot the videos, when you get the shots, there's something there to that. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not a film student. I'm not somebody who, does anything like that. I would say, I'm definitely a professional though. But I would say that thing is hard to navigate and explain in a way that I guess makes sense. Like, it's something that when you're doing it, again, these thoughts, these things just kind of, they just somehow populate in your head, and you just do your best to express them. And then there's like a multi-pass stage thing too. So you'll go through and you'll look at all the photos and all the videos and try and figure out what it is that you like more. Like, what is it about this clip that you like? And like, how does that clip work with this clip? And then like, oh, like, but here's like a big shot. Like, here's like a punchy shot, and so we have all this stuff that kind of works with each other. It's like one big project is really what it is. And so as you're putting that and you're crafting that thing together, it almost feels like it's held together really fragilely. I don't even know if that's really a word. It just feels really fragile. Like, if you mess up one part, it messes up the whole thing. And I think it's just a creative process, obviously, and putting that stuff together, it's really situational. It depends on what you're going for, it depends on what you're thinking and how you're feeling, and so I think that stuff kind of like leaks in and it gets into the video, right? And so if you have something that's really that you want to show or that you want to express, I think it naturally will get expressed and shown. And I think the way that you use the tools that you're using, I think that's a big differentiator for people. Some people maybe don't like software, they don't like using tools, whereas like I do like using software, and I do like using tools. To me, it's like a playground to try and figure this thing out and understand the differences between it, and oh, I can do this or oh, I can do that. And that's kind of how that works for me. I just kind of put stuff together, and it just kind of, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't think anybody ever really does, right? Well, I mean, I think if you're doing the right thing or not, and like a kind of, I guess, evaluating what it is that you're doing in a particular moment. But I guess what I'm saying is like, it's hard to know, if you're doing the right thing with software, right? Like, it's hard to know if you're building something out correctly or if you're using it as it was intended to be used. But that's a big contributor as well, And I would say like there's this weird thing too where I think it's easy to follow maybe like a software like track where maybe you think like, oh, that software is better because it like offers features, or maybe you're under the impression that your software isn't good enough because you're not creating a shot good enough. And I think like, some people create some of the best things with the worst tools, and I think that's something worth noting here. It's worth saying, like, you could have a tool that other like most of the population would be like, how are you using that? Why are you using that? But yet that guy or that person or that girl or whoever can, put out an extremely high quality product. And I think that's the thing. That's the ticket, just getting really good with that thing and being comfortable with that thing. And I think that only comes from a place of somebody, taking the time and the effort to really look into it and explore it and and do that thing, figure that thing out. And I think that's kind of one of my big maybe strong suits is like I just have like things that I really enjoy and I like and I want to figure out, and I do. I feel like a lot to figure them out, especially with the programming stuff. So let's go ahead and I guess segue into that and talk about that for a minute. I got my first ever website up and running. I would drop the URL, but I want to wait because the site is going to change. But I've showed it to some family and friends, and I'm so amazed by the fact that I have created something. Now, granted, from a tutorial, but I've added in my own little bits and pieces. It feels like for sure, and it's amazing that I can just. It's amazing that we as humans can build things, and I guess being able to share that with other people over the internet, I think is even cooler in a way that I never would have expected. I mean, I did expect it, right? This is one of the things that I wanted, being able to get sites up and running for people and build stuff. And I just find it fascinating, that you can build something, you share it with people on a web application. And like even in this case, one that I built, and I I enjoy that so much, and I think that's kind of going to tie into this thing of like uncertainty with the progression of the programming kind of industry, and maybe not programmers anymore, maybe coders or like being builders, or I don't know. It's a crazy thing to evaluate and understand, but all in all, I'm happy, and I think what is going to be better is always gonna hopefully rise to the surface, and maybe that'll be what this instance is. And so but yeah, I'm excited. That's up and running, and I can't wait. I'm going to have a designated DNS, which stands for Domain Name Server, I believe. And so I will have an actual URL for my branding and kind of, this thing that I'm creating and I'm working on as far as photography is concerned, and building websites and maybe being the marketing guy. And so I'm really excited for that. I can't wait for that. And I'm curious to see where that journey goes. And I hope it's one of those things that helps me with my jiu-jitsu journey. That's kind of one of the biggest reasons I do a lot of the stuff I'm doing is just so I can do. Excuse me, gee whiz. So I can do a lot more jiu-jitsu, and that's the goal, man. That's the goal. Just working hard to be able to train more. And in the industry that I'm in now, it just feels, it's really hard to be able to do that. It's really hard to understand how to navigate that thing, and that thing is I think it's tough, navigating that life of an athlete. That's a difficult thing, and it's not an easy undertaking. And so I'm just working really hard, And there's a couple sayings I'm holding on to right now, and I just keep reiterating to myself. And I guess I'll just kind of throw them out there. Stuff's been helping me. Maybe it'll help you guys. Maybe not. I don't know what I'm doing here. It's just kind of like a journal thing, as we said before, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But one of them is by Benjamin Franklin, and it says, "Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man young, wealthy, and wise." And I think that could be really used really well. And then another one was by James Clear, which, both of these are kind of paraphrases, but the one by Clear is something along the lines, again, I'm just like paraphrasing horribly, but something along the lines of, if you're not dedicated to that thing, if you're not completely immersing yourself in that thing to like, maybe not even, like Clear, says, you're not getting better, you're not making yourself better, like find something else, and I guess there's another quote that kind of comes to the top of my mind as I'm saying these other ones, and it's Kevin Hart. Again, it's just a paraphrase, I guess not really a quote, but he says something along the lines of like, you wake up one day and you're trying to do something and you don't get much done, but you still wake up the next day and you're like, I'm gonna be better than I was, or better than I am, and having that action, like I'm doing this thing to get to there, so I got to do this thing to get to that, and like that's kind of how I feel with my jiu-jitsu journey right now. It's like I'm doing this stuff so I can get to that, and jiu-jitsu is the thing, and I can't wait. One day I'm gonna have my own gym. I'm gonna have a couple businesses. I can already feel it. I can see it in the future. for sure, and things are kind of aligning, and there's some sacrifices being made for it, and as you guys can tell, the emotional roller coaster that is kind of portrayed across this is definitely, it can be seen for sure. I feel like a couple weeks ago I was just really in the dumps, but now it's like this week it's like I got the train today, my back's getting better, I'm typing 45 words per minute faster on not faster, but that's how fast I am typing on Typing Club. So the typing is getting better, and learning Spanish is going great. We talked about that a little bit last week, so that's cool. And the programming is going great, obviously. Even though sometimes I feel like it's hard to keep track of progress. I don't want to be the kind of guy that's the jack of all trades, master of none, but it seems like all of the stuff that I'm falling into it's all stuff that I feel like I got the knack for, I got the thing for, and I got the want for. And I'm looking into this stuff, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm curious, and as long as that curiosity never goes away, I don't think the inspiration to keep doing that stuff will, and that will get you through the hardest moments, and it's getting me through the hardest moments, And the weather's getting better, so that's awesome. It almost feels like I'm back in San Diego again. The weather's just like heated up again, and it feels awesome, and I'm just so happy that it's warming back up. Maybe a little bit of seasonal depression there, and maybe we're shaking off the cobwebs and being able to drive around with the windows down. Feels nice. But yeah, the week's going good. It's going great. I hope you guys are, again, having an exceptional week. I hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. I want to shout out another commenter. He said, this guy's like a squirrel. This thing's all over the place. I agree, my friend. That's why I love this podcast. It's just me getting on here. It's just me saying my piece, man. Just kind of, I guess not piece, just kind of like letting you guys know what I'm going through, what I'm driving with. I'm a busy guy. I don't get to go out and maneuver in the social circles or go to the parties, because I'm here. I'm doing this. You guys can see it. The laptop's back to the lamp. I got people that I'm like this with, and those are the people that I'm trying to have conversations with. I'm trying to say, hey, I'm still here, still alive. But I get it, man. I'm just in here doing the thing, and I don't even know if I'm doing it right. But does anybody really know if they're doing it right? You know what I mean? Who knows, man? Who knows? But either way, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep checking in. I'm gonna keep showing up. I'm gonna keep putting this out there for you guys. We've read up on some more of the Gulag Archipelago. They're out here roasting the engineers. They're just putting them in the dirt, man. It's crazy. We've talked about a little bit. It's kind of like the foreshadowing as to what is to come later in the years of the Soviet Union at the time, and this is crazy, man. It's crazy. Thankful that we live in the time that we do. It's so peaceful. I feel like, even though tensions can feel high, people can feel like things aren't going so smooth. I think if you get caught up in that hype, yeah, you can feel that way. But I think if you just don't mind much, and you stick to the things that are important to you, and you focus on those, I think that stuff kind of goes by the wayside. Argument can be made, however, though, me not paying attention so much is not necessarily a good thing. Right? That's not a good thing, not being immersed in those conversations that are being had. Could be one of the biggest detriments, maybe to society and everything. I don't know, man. That's a good argument. Maybe I should look into it more, but again, I have no idea what I'm doing. But man, I'm just so thankful that you guys are tuning in. If you're tuning in, thankful that you guys are leaving comments. I hope I answered the question about the video photography for Off-Grid Grappler Good. I hope Brian, that was the guy that shouted out. This guy's like a squirrel. It's all over the place. Yeah, man. I hope you feel that, because I feel that too. But that's all right. I think that's just me as a guy. Anybody that knows me, it's really close. This is what I do. I just ramble, bro. But yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's episode number 36, Rolling with Reason. You guys in the comments, let me know. If you like what I'm doing here, let me know. Man, this year's gonna be great. I can just feel it's gonna be great. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Stay resilient, embrace the struggle, and keep moving forward.